Hello, I'm Jessica, and I'm going to be talking about the methyl isocyanate gas leak disaster in Bhopal, India. The purpose and objectives of this presentation is to very briefly go over a report on the Bhopal gas leak disaster of 1984, including an overview, and to also discuss the short and long-term public health consequences faced by the Bhopal residents and victims of this disaster. So the Bhopal chemical factory disaster occurred at Union Carbide Chemical Factory. The management for this factory cut basic safety measures just to save costs, despite keeping safety measures at a U.S. plant in Virginia. The negligence at the factory also contributed, including the refrigerator mechanism that was actually designed to assist in mitigating a disastrous incident just like this. It was not in place and operating. So what happens is it produces MIC predominantly for manufacturing pesticides, and when MIC reacts with water, it produces heat, which further drives this dangerous reaction. So this unchecked positive feedback due to inactive safety measures precipitated this gas leak event. It's extremely toxic and has no antidote, and the gas is actually toxic at as little as 0.2 to 0.4 parts per million. So when water accidentally released into the MIC storage, it caused a chain reaction that went unchecked. And as you can see, the rising pressure, the PSI, continued all the way up almost to about 55 PSI until it burst. And then you can see there that precipitated a gas release, which would be the orange line. It was a rapid leak of over 30 tons of MIC gas in less than an hour. And this gas leak occurred around midnight when many of the individuals in the surrounding area were sleeping. Heavily affected areas near the Union Carbide factory are highlighted in gray on the map, as you can see here. And little was done to warn the city residents. So with fog-like gas collecting around homes, it became very, very dangerous for these people. Over 3,000 people were killed on the immediate days of the gas leak, which was December 2nd and 3rd. And then over an estimated 500,000 people were exposed to MIC, which is significant. In addition to fatality and acute health issues due to exposure, a wide range of long-term health consequences are associated with this gas leak, and it is still today considered to be a public health disaster that is ongoing. And in this chart, you can see some of the effects that it had on people between the initial leakage from 0 to 6 months, and then how it began affecting people 6 months and beyond, including ocular, respiratory, gastrointestinal, genetic, psychological, neurobehavioral, and this really is just the tip of the iceberg. Respiratory distress was the most reported from the incident. Numerous victims were blinded and permanently disabled by this MIC exposure. Several faced long-term eye complications. Thousands of deaths from MIC exposure continued for years after the disaster. So as you can see here, it's a graphical representation of symptoms that have shown up in individuals living in the area. Almost 80% of Bhopal residents have respiratory issues, followed closely by 75.5% of residents experiencing gynecologic issues. This chart is a visual breakdown of the various ophthalmic issues experienced, and this first bar with the highest being cataracts, followed by presbyopia. After a series of court cases, an initial settlement of just $470 million from 1989 was overturned. In 1992, Union Carbide sets up a trust fund to run a hospital in Bhopal. The judgment had been made on more than 1 million claims by October 2003, according to Bhopal Gas Tragedy Relief and Rehabilitation Department. So despite this enormous toll, only 2.7% of restitutions were paid for deaths within the community. So this is just a representation to show how much has been paid out, which is not nearly enough for what these victims have endured and continue to endure. Leftover chemicals soaked into the ground due to rain and other conditions, and so high rates of birth defects and other comorbidities have been reported. And by a quote from the University of Applied Sciences in Germany, practically nothing has been done at the site during the past 20 years. Not even a fence is complete. Children play there, cattle graze, and people take away material for building their houses. There's been an extreme lack of proper response to the crisis, and it has allowed this problem to persist and still claims lives decades later. In summary, this is one of the worst industrial accidents in history, claimed thousands of lives instantly and tens of thousands more lives over the following years. It was a preventable event. Numerous safety checkpoint mechanisms had been disabled and neglected by this Union Carbide management. The Bhopal gas leak is an ongoing public health crisis with inadequate response from Union Carbide and Indian government to curb the persistent consequences from the disaster. Thank you very much.